I'm sure you've all heard the jingle. What would you do for a Klondike bar? Seems innocuous enough. Wholesome, family friendly entertainment. Perfect for when Junior strikes out of the Little League game and you don't have it in you to tell him that you hate him for it and would love to give him away to the town drunk as his new dad and claim he was his real father all along, even though he has the same chance of getting with a woman as the deformed meme-tastic mole man and all those soy jack comics. And no, blow-up dolls don't count. It doesn't matter how many thousands you've spent on them. Wear something other than sweatpants for once, so women won't tremble when you ask them for their phone number, you freak. It's all good for a giggle, really. The problem is, just how far would you go? Would you overpay by a few dollars for just a tiny nibble of one of life's simple dietary pleasures? Would you get up off of your fat ass and take a walk for once, even recognizing that that wouldn't be enough to melt off the calories of a quarter of a bar? I know you strangled your next door neighbor with a piano string. The possibilities are endless, and when you work in high fructose frozen candy, you expect it all to be sweeter than a honeybee that had its stinger ripped off when stabbing Junior, causing him a minor ache in his left elbow, but that tiny bee torso and anus contorted in unimaginable nerve pain and scattered like yellow and black confetti at a colorblind person's gender reveal party. Nothing personal. Well, one day while sitting on my ass and watching Klondike bar contest video submissions that, yes, asked our fans what they would do for a Klondike bar, I eventually got to one that made me question why I bother getting up in the morning. It was a 60s style Tex Avery animation, or at least it tried to be one. It wasn't even that. My name is Help Me the Bear. I live in the North Pole, and all of the ice caps are melting. Great, some stupid environmentalist garbage. Bet the MFer who wrote this is Trump derangement syndrome and uploaded pictures of his micro penis to Blue Sky the day it was purchased. I got up, paused the video, sighed, and threw several mint-flavored Klondike bars into a blender, anticipating a sweet, sweet smoothie that would exacerbate my onset of type 2 diabetes and assist me in leaving this mortal coil faster than I'd have to, you know, watch all these pitiful amateur hour bullshit videos. Something tells me you know what I'm talking about. Somehow. Will somebody please help me? Help me the bear, if that was even his real name, blinked. He clearly had pink eye, or maybe it was AIDS. He otherwise looked just like a regular old shitty kindergarten art polar bear cartoon character. Kind of like a psychologically handicapped Maxie the bear from Chilly Willy the penguin if you're older than George Burns and understand ancient cartoon references and shit. I do. And I am. I worked as a candy company intern. It wasn't like you respected me to begin with. Now, you might expect some Arctic animal to come out and help me, the bear. Well, you'd be wrong. Absolutely, positively nothing happened for a while. The video was just a cartoon polar bear with pink eye and a white cheddar cheese curl flopping around in the front. I'm assuming it was supposed to be a dick while he stood idly in an ice field. The animator didn't even bother to draw on tiny plants to imply wind or cover up his bare appendage or some background animals or a sun or, well, anything. It was all white. Cheap piece of shit. Oh my god! My eyes popped out. Help me, the bear's eyes did not pop out. They were still pink and bulging and stupid. What the fuck was this shit? Oh no! Now my nose exploded! Its nose did not explode. It was just a black oval that was likely drawn by a third world Indonesian gentleman for pennies on the ropia. Maybe the same guy who animated the Poo to the Loo video. If you don't know what that is, I'm glad to hear that. It's literal shit. Whoa, shit, my tail is crumbled to ash. There was something seriously fucking bothersome about Help Me the Bear and his cartoon psychosis. Also, he did not have a tail. He grit his teeth, which cracked into tiny, jagged, otherwise tic-tac shaped pieces, and then ran on all fours, limping and humping the snow and pissing on the white ground beneath it, which at least provided a little bit of color other than black, white, and a teeny tiny bit of grayscale if you squinted hard enough. Help Me the Bear climbed up some sort of Arctic dwarf tree. It kept falling down and getting back up. This went on for about 25 minutes. Eventually, it climbed all the way to the top and roared like an actual fucking polar bear. I figured the film was finally going places. Unlike me and my lame ass corporate candy career. Will somebody please help me? Oh my god! Will somebody please help me? This went on for 35 minutes. My eardrums vibrated. In a way, it was kind of pleasant, but I had a hunch they might rupture and bleed and cause permanent tinnitus, which I actually kind of welcomed at that point. You know, I felt myself in a hypnotic trance, like a high school dropout at a Grateful Dead concert who just tried the Jello shots. I could not get myself to click the mouse and turn off the video, or even question how the contest video submitter thought this would be a Super Bowl commercial candidate. That's well over $1 million for half a minute of broadcasting. You do the math. Again, I worked a dead end candy career. Math wasn't exactly my strong suit in school. Lunch was, if you consider eating a lot, an accomplishment. Otherwise, nothing was. The hour-long nonsense finally, mercifully, transitioned to, well, an actual something, when an avalanche from a snowy mountain behind Help Me the Bear tumbled on down, presumably due to the vibrations of a screaming and shaking from the snow-covered dwarf tree. The strange thing is, there was suddenly a sign of actual investment in animation quality. The mountain's tint darkened at least a little bit before transforming itself into Klondike bars and cocaine dust? Help Me the Bear emerged from the dust unharmed somehow. I guess they ran out of budget, and he began to snort the cocaine through a purple or violet, if you're a sassy person, plastic straw. Was this video the inspiration for Cocaine Bear? Suddenly, the bear blew up. Bear organs, tissue, small intestine, and chewed up penguin bits with a tiny scarf and wool hat. I assumed it was Chilly Willy's mutilated corpse, all smashed into the screen. They were maybe halfway between lifelike and 60s cartoon style, but who's even paying attention at this point? The video then faded out and back in, panning across what appeared to be a mad scientist lab full of beakers, human-sized test tubes, and sex mannequins with love stains on them. Again, that's probably not what they were, but the animation was shitty, so it may as well have been the truth. The mad scientist appeared, hair frizzled and unkempt, clumps of thinned-out fizzy strands lightly splattered about his exposed scalp. What would I do for a Klondike bar? He muttered in a Hitler-esque accent. He gave a salute, one of those salutes. Oh, for fuck's sake. I would. The video went to static. I smacked the shit out of my computer monitor, but that didn't work, so I slammed it with a sledgehammer and fragged the motherboard. It might sound like slang, but no. My computer could no longer survive the power on self test, so I hopped on my kick scooter and manually rode it several miles to the public library to play out the rest of the video. I still remember when the audio blared out of the public library speakers, even though I'm 100% confident I had muted it. Klondike Bar is sponsored by Silk Road. What would you do for a Klondike Bar? Would you hire a hitman and murder all of your loved ones and cause a doomsday scenario involving melting the Arctic ice caps? The local librarian smacked me in the back of the head with the spine of a rather large encyclopedia, stole my library card, and told me never to come back or she'd call the cops. Unfortunately, ever since that fateful day, I have become a homeless man with a bloodlust who nobody can track down. I killed 19 people in a small town in Minnesota last week, and nobody batted an eye toward me because all the victims were prostitutes. And yes, I did get laid. Then I took a choo-choo train down to Mississippi, set a Planned Parenthood on fire. It was empty, I think. But they actually awarded an anonymous medal to, I don't know, some wooden stand in the mayor's office for me to identify myself and claim the sweet reward that I'm pretty sure was made out of fool's gold or hardened butter or something. Probably was a trap. I never announced myself as a deed doer, so it is what it is. 576 fresh kills. I've since realized that my heart is colder than ice itself. I have no pride in my misdeeds, trust me. Really, I don't. I now live in an igloo-shaped shack in Alaska, anticipating the day that the spell over me wears off and I can turn myself into the police, assuming they'd care in the small, snowy Pacific Northwestern redneck town. You know, I feel like the Wolfman. I scream and howl out at midnight for somebody to axe murder me. Chop me up like little tiny bacon bits, but I'm a man, I'm not a pig. Also, I don't want to die. I'm really, really sorry for the pain I've caused people, though. Really. So what would you do for a Klondike bar? Would you permanently lose all of your sanity for the sake of highly processed high fructose corn syrup, battery acid, and cockroach shells? Because I'm pretty sure that's what's in it. At least unless RFK gets appointed health secretary, then all bets are off.